I've got this message. Coupon is sent. Fantastic.
Good morning all. Continuing with my Radio Tower project, I want to build a PCB to replace the existing NRF24L01 Plus sort of adapter board and my tower board, which fits with these right angle pins into D13, 12, 11, 10 and 9. Now the board is only going to have a voltage regulator on it, a 3.3 volt voltage regulator, which you can just about see there, 4 capacitors, a resistor and an LED, but it's also going to have this connector at the base here and also a compatible connector. It's 2x4 for the transceiver module. So let's get straight back onto EasyEDA on my PC and we'll do some video screen grab and create the PCB from the schematic that I've already started designing.
So here's my schematic that I drew in the last video, and really the first thing I want to do is send that directly to be a PCB. So this thing here says convert schematic to PCB. Let's do that immediately. Now it says there are some unfinished nets, and I'm sure there are nets with no name and not connected to anything. I suppose we could put some extra names in actually. Let's come out of that. Check the nets. What's this one? H2-8. I was just saying that's not connected. Well, that's fine. Is there a sort of thing where you can notify the program that you want it not connected? I don't know. One name I did want to put on was up here. This can have the label 3v3, because that's 3.3 volts after the regulator. And I guess I could put, I could actually do this with a 5 volt. I don't know what this is called. It's called a net flag 5 volts. So let's wire that onto the 5 volts. And then that at least also has a name. Okay, I think that's good enough. So now I'm going to hit the convert to PCB. Not worried about the unfinished nets. Keep going. Oh, please save your file. Fine. Connecting to server. Saved successful. Convert to PC. Keep going. And there's the PCB. Now I want to work in mils. I'm not too worried about the board size yet. I think I will have 2 copper layers, although I'm not entirely sure whether I'm going to use those or not. So let's apply that. And then the other thing I tend to change is my snap size to 25. So it's a really coarse snap so that you can see what's going on. And I'll show you the advantage of that. And then Alt snap, if you hit the Alt key, you can snap to a finer. So let's, this is using the right mouse key to drag it. Scroll wheel to make it larger. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the board outline, which I don't know why there's a break in there, but there's always a break. And you can see that the coarse snap means I can absolutely get that exactly where I want it to fit my grid. And so that's not the finished size of the board because this regulator takes up a fair amount of board space. Now the other thing I need to do is work out whether I'm going to go for, I think I'll work horizontally because I've got limited space on here. So for example, H1, in that case, I think we need to do 3 rotates. That will sit, let's put it there. And then actually I want my board to be quite small, so quite narrow. So I might go for that. So there's my connector that sits in the Arduino expansion board. Regulator, here are the capacitors, the 2-pin connector for power. This is the connector. Now this one, I don't know what the rotation of this is yet. Let's do it that way, but I will check it. I know it's going to be offset slightly to one side because it is on the NRF24L01 Plus board. Really, we want to get all these components up onto the board. So let's do that. H3. I probably don't need to drag around them much. I can probably just drag them. Let's get them all up on the board. I'll make the board a bit longer. And this thing can go a bit further up. Let's try it there. But all this has to be checked, whether the orientation is right and all that sort of stuff.
So what I want to check on here, that offset of this connector is quite far over. I don't know why they couldn't get that central. This ruler has tenths on it. How wide is this board? Because I really want to make my board the same width. Okay, it's 6/10. Exactly right. So I'm going to make my board 6/10. And then I've got to try and work out, that's quite close to the edge, isn't it? I want to try and work out the positioning of that on my layout. So let's go back to the PCB.
Right, I've noticed that my board is 6/10 wide, and that's a perfect fit for this 5-way connector, so that's good. This connector possibly might come a little bit nearer the edge. Perhaps I'll just put it there. This label needs to move, or I might get rid of it because H2 doesn't really tell you anything useful at all. I've got some more capacitors to bring up here, and of course I need to route a lot of these signals here up to the respective points on this connector. I've got two sides, so it should be relatively easy to do. That's essentially it. Power connector can go, it could go there. I'll put it on the grid so that that makes sense. I can't remember which is pos and neg on this. Actually, I think pin 1 I made, it is ground because there's a thing that's come up. And that one, has that got a flag? Yes, that's plus 5 volts there. So that's good. I'm going to, and this won't be very interesting, I'm just going to sort of rearrange these things for a while until I get a layout which I think works. I'm not going to show the whole thing because this video would be really long. But I'll come back when it's looking like it's a bit more laid out how I want it. Now, something here looks all a bit wrong. The power, when it comes out of the regulator, needs to come over to pins 1 and 2 on the NRF connector. So it looks to me like all of this power stuff really wants to shift to the other side of the board. So this is very much rip up and retry. Let's take all these tracks out. I'm going to take them all out because it's all a bit messy. And I'm just going to move this entire section of stuff to the other side of the board. Oh, computer's a bit slow doing that. Oh, it's darting around all over the place. So I'm sort of thinking there-ish. And that might make the whole process a little bit easier. So power over on that side. I know that's not how it is on the existing board. But let's work with this for the moment, see how far we get. And then if another rip up and retry is required, well, so be it. Okay, I've got the signals routed from the connector on the left here, that's the bottom of the board, to the 8-way connector here. It's ugly routing. That I can probably slightly sort out. I'm not too worried about the beauty of it at the moment because I just want to see that I can work it. Now, power I can probably route on the underside, although of course these regulator components are on the top side. So if I wanted to dart to the underside, I'd have to use a via. Actually, this one doesn't need to go right up there, does it? It can probably come through that gap. And then pins 1 and 2 are free. I could route pin 2 round there, but then it's on the wrong side because it's actually here. My ground, I'll do it in blue, although I might use a ground plane. Oh no, of course it's underside routing. Well, I could use a ground plane to link pin 1 there, ground, to pin 1 there, ground. But I'll just do it in track for the moment. Of course, it's not going to connect to the surface mount stuff, is it? So let's just route it like that. And then top side routing, so back to top layer, from there to there, from that pad to that capacitor, I think to that capacitor, does it go to there? resistor. Yes, I think resistor is ground. Now these two are also ground, aren't they? So let's link those, and that's going to come. I'll just link it onto there for now, even though that's not ideal. There's a track here from the resistor to the LED. The output, I can link these two. Goes to there, that goes to there, and that crosses over now, which is a bit of a nuisance. I can come round here. I'll have a think about that. There may be a way around that, but I'm nearly routed. Yeah. I'm not sure if this is ideal though. Ground comes into the regulator and does all this stuff and then goes out to the socket back from this point. Not ideal, but probably would work. Well, that's it, fully routed. Can I make this twice the size? Yes, that's better. Now we can see it. It's just occurred to me that C2 and C4 could actually flip in Y. Why isn't it letting me do that? Let's just take these, delete that. Oh, it's very slow. Why is it so slow? Probably because I'm recording. Why can't... Oh, maybe I have to rotate them. Okay, let's do that. C4, rotate, rotate. C2, rotate, rotate. And now, if I delete that, I can run a track from this point out to here. Might have to move that a little bit, and to there. To there. I think that's it. Let me just fix that. Right, that's fixed it. Now I'm just going to fatten up this track, this blue track, on the underside. That's width 10. Let's have it width 20, so it's nice and big so that we can see it. Because it's a power track. And I'll just fix that because that's a bit ugly. So that's on the underside. It goes from ground straight to ground on this other connector, and then ground routes around here to these capacitors. But they're a little bit sort of set apart from the regulator, and these capacitors which are on the output, which is the tab, which then feed this pin 2, which is VCC I presume, also feeds the LED back through R1 to ground. It's all there, it just needs smartening up and paying some attention to things like lengths of tracks, proximity of components to the regulator, where exactly I want this connected. This could come more central to the board, I think. So I will now spend what is normally an hour or two just twiddling things until it feels right, and then I'll come back. So I've got to this now, and I quite like it. I've got my power connector centralized. I'm going to do something with these. I think if you triple click, yes, I'm trying to add another point in there. I could run that like so. Oh, I need another one. Oh, what's that doing? Well, I suppose I could have jaunty angles on these. People will complain like that. People will hate it, but it does space this lot down. I will need an extra one in there. And put it there, sort of thing. I quite like that. That one's not quite right, is it? That one needs to come out. Oh, that's a nice fan shape. I really like that. I'm keeping that. I was thinking I could bring this connector down a bit, bring the capacitors, the regulator, the LED and the resistor all down, and shorten the board and not have it quite so long. It would be more compact. So I might work on that next, but I like this layout. One thing is the input capacitors here have a little run round here to ground. This is, I suppose, my main incoming ground point. There's a big fat track on the bottom, this blue track. If I have to go to blue, you'll see it better. Running from pin 1 of the power connector to pin 1 of the NRF connector. But all in all, I think that looks pretty good. I'll do a little bit of straightening things out and come back. I just noticed I haven't saved this, so perhaps I'd better save that. That's saved. Now, can you have, if I go to the top silk layer, text plastered all over top side tracks? I don't see why not. So let's have this as Radio Tower and see if that fits. Oh, that's quite nice. I'll put that there. I might add something to that, but I think that's essentially it. So now it's 6/10 wide, I suppose it is, by 1.8 inches long. That's okay. Some of my labels are in different orientations. Actually, I suppose I could sort that out. The U1 label, I could do a rotate. I won't put it under the device because then you won't see it. The LED 2 label, I don't know why it's LED 2. It should be LED 1 really. That can go there, and R1 can go there. So that's all those in the same orientation. But I'm just wondering if some other markers on here, like D13 for that, 12, 11, 10, and D9 for that might be useful. Putting the positive and negative on here might be useful. The NRF, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's not going to come downwards into the board. It's going to go up off the board. I've put that as close to the edge as I can get it. If I turn the silk layer off, you can see how that track gets very close to the ground pad, but that's all right. That acts as a capacitor between VCC, 3 volt, 3V3 and ground. So I'm happy with that. Now it's just occurred to me that because I'm not fitting these components, I don't really need these labels on here at all. And you can turn them off. So if I take C1 for example, go into attributes and say display prefix no and update it, the label just goes away. And I think it might be neater with no labels at all. And then I can put some markings across here to make sure you get D13 and D9 in the right place. Here for pos and neg, 5 volts. I think I might do that on all the components. Right, I think that's essentially it. I've got my labels on for ground VCC for when you're connecting the power connector. D13 and D9, so you can align that in the proper place on the Arduino. And the NRF24L01 Plus on this connector. These components are going to be fitted by JLCPCB, so I ought to save this. So they don't need to be marked. Okay, I think I'm ready to do the Gerbers and get this off to JLCPCB. So let's give that a try. Let's hit. Would you like to do a design rule check? Well, I will do one. Can't imagine there are going to be any errors. No errors, and we're sent straight to the generate PCB fabrication. And I'm going to be doing an order at JLCPCB. My PCB price is $4. I only need 5 of these. I don't need 10. I'll do blue. Actually, black would be quite nice because the NRF board is black, isn't it? Hassle with lead. I'll see if that black is possible. But what's this? PCB. Oh, let me just make sure that you can see this. I'll just move that slightly. Yes, what's this? PCB plus SMT assembly, $10 off. Get coupon. I think I'm going to get my coupon. Oh, where's that sending me? To here. Get coupon. Well, I think I must have got a coupon. Right, I've got this message. Coupon is sent. Check it and order at JLCPCB.com. Okay, fantastic. So back here, I've set everything I want to set. 5, 1.6, black, hassle with lead, 1 ounce copper. Order at JLCPCB. Now I have checked the coupon and it has arrived, so that's good. Let's go into my JLC. Oh, order data generated. Please click OK. Fine. Let's go to my JLCPCB order page and see what we've got. Right, here we are. My PCB is here. It's showing it in green, but it's actually blue. That should be... Oh, no, it's black. There it is. So, yeah, that looks good. I don't need an SMT stencil because I'm going to do JLC PCB assembly. So I need to find out where that is in here. And... Ah, here we are, SMT assembly, free SMT assembly for your PCB order. The PCB specs you chose are not available for SMT assembly. Please reset the PCB specs. Right, I see the problem, it's here. Minimum PCB dimension for SMT assembly is 20 by 20 mil, and I'm 6/10 of an inch, which I can't work out in my head, but that's probably less than 20 mil. So I'm just going to have to make the board wider. It's probably because it needs to be that wide to fit into their assembly machine. So I will work on that and come straight back to this point. So here's the issue. 0.8 times 25.4 is 20.32. So if I increase the width of my board to 0.8, let's just drag that down a bit, which means taking that out to there and that out to there. It has to be that wide or I can't have it assembled, which has spoiled the aesthetic a little bit, but I can work with this. It's got to be that wide. I mean, actually, I could, once I receive it, carve the edges off, so maybe that's okay. I think I might just widen it and leave it, actually. So let's save that and go through the process again, and I'll go back to the order page. So here we are back on the order page. Here's my new slightly wider board and the rear view of it. Yes, that's the underside with my big fat ground track from pin 1 to pin 1. That all looks good. So what have we got? 2 layers, quantity 5. The dimensions are 20 by 46. I hope they allow this. Different design is 1. Single PCB. I'm not panelizing it. Thickness 1.6. Color black. Hassle with lead. 1 ounce copper. Blah, blah, blah. SMT assembly. Only accept single side placement. We recommend you choose the side which has more SMD parts. Well, that's this one. So that's what I want. SMD quantity 5 or 2. Not sure what that is. Tooling holes added by JLCPCB. I agree to the terms and conditions. Well, I think that's okay. Now the boards are $2. The setup fee is $7. The stencil's $150, but I presume they'll use the stencil internally. That's $10.50, and then of course there's a shipping charge. The estimated shipping charge, I don't want that, is $16.80. So, and of course I can use the coupon at this point. So I guess this is all okay. Assemble top side. Just not sure what this SMT quantity is. 5 or 2? I guess 5. I'm having 5 boards. So confirm that I understand that. See what happens. Ah, right. Yes, I need to add the BOM file and the CPL file, which is... Oh, yes, I've done this once before. I've got to try and remember how this works. Now, it does say here, tip, with EasyEDA, you can generate the BOM CPL files with a single click. That should be easy then. Let's do it. So switching back to EasyEDA, I can get rid of my order thing. Now, what's this up here? This is BOM, and that's pick and place. So BOM, Ah, right. So it's saying assign my parts now. So maybe I didn't need specifically to set all that up in my schematic design. I could have picked generic parts and then assigned them here. Right, so exporting the BOM, I mean, all these components are the ones I chose, so they should be correct. They're LCSC parts, but they're assigned to the JLCPCB assembly service. Order parts, check stock, export BOM. Let's just export it. That's created a CSV down the bottom. Okay, well, let's assume that's right and close that. What about the pick and place file? Mirror the coordinates of the components on the bottom side. Some manufacturers may need it. JLCPCB doesn't. Okay, we'll just export. And that's created a pick and place PCB CSV file at the bottom. So let's see if I can put those files in. I do want the ability to edit them because I did notice on the BOM it's included my 3 headers and I don't want them fitted. They're not surface mount parts anyway. So will there be a final chance to edit? We'll find out. So the 2 files that it downloaded, the BOM and the pick and place file, I've brought in. Next, let's see if there's an ability. Oh yes, it does say select parts. So, right, yes, that's good. So I don't want H2 or H1 or H3. I do want the 100N and the 1117 regulator. I do want 10N, 1K, 10 microfarads, and the LED, which is a Hubei Kento ELEC C2293. I suppose I could look that up and just make sure that is a red LED, which is what I wanted. So that all looks fine. Please carefully check the packages of the selected parts before proceeding. Well, I think that's fine. So I'm going to proceed with this, having switched off my 3 headers. Let's say next. It's giving me a little, oh, that's nice. I've got red marks here, there, and everywhere. That's interesting. Can I zoom in on that? It's got a red box over that connector and these 2 connectors. I've got my regulator, got resistor, LED, and my 4 capacitors. That's really all I want. Now, how has that affected the price? Total price $19.44 now because we've got setup fee, stencil $150, components $261, extended components fee. Yes, that's a fee because I didn't use all basic parts, but one of the capacitors I couldn't find a basic part. Well, I'll just have to swallow that. Here are all the parts listed here, so I can go through checking these. Once again, this LED, 5 times 1, quantity 5 times 1. Of course, the quantities are 5 off because I'm having 5 boards. Still don't know the colour of that LED, which is remarkable, really. Light emitting diodes, LED 0805. Go for it. So I think we're good with that. Save to cart. Let's save it. Right, that's saved to cart. So I've got my 5 boards, $2, of course, for 5 PCBs. 5 sets of components. Here they are. And that's $17.44 for those 5 sets of components. Now I'm going to go through the checkout, probably off camera for obvious reasons, and place this order. But I think that's probably it for this video. If you want to get your SMT plus assembly $10 coupon, then it's available from today, which is the 14th of May. I think it's available on an ongoing basis. I will check that. But that's it for this video, so cheerio.